Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to our main news broadcast. Let's go straight and look at the stories making headlines in our news tonight. Government denies fueling confusion in the opposition Patriotic Front. Governance actors raise concern in the handling of parliamentary affairs. Some Lusaka residents call for adherence to the minimum wage. In international news, extremists kill 37 villagers in latest attack in Nigeria's northeast. And in sports news, CAF announces CAF 2023 awards nominees. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Do join me with the details after this.
Introducing Darren B, a touch of class. Are you looking for the perfect place to elevate your style and glam up? Look no further. Darren B Touch of Class is your one-stop destination for hair and makeup transformation. Walk into Darren B and walk out feeling like a star. Your transformation starts here. Call us on 0772 870 588 or WhatsApp on 0972 049 213 to book your appointment today. Payments are made via mobile money or point-of-sale machine. Strictly no cash payments. We are located along Mossy Road in Ibex Hill, 4th close on the left after Kalikiliki Police Post. At Darren B, we pride ourselves on our team of dedicated and trained personnel ready to pamper both women and children. Darren B is open 7 days a week from 0720 hours to 1740 hours. From trendy hairstyles and stylish makeovers to flawless makeup, we do it all. Darren B, a touch of class.
Thank you so much for staying with us. And now the news in detail. Some Lusaka residents have called on the government to put in place a mechanism to ensure that the approved minimum wages for domestic workers, drivers and other general workers are adhered to. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, one of the concerned residents, Shadrach Kaunda, says the previous announcement of the minimum wage saw little implementation, which left workers vulnerable to their employers. Wednesday, government announced that the cabinet had approved the issuance of a statutory instrument on the review of the minimum wages and conditions of service for domestic workers, shop workers and employees covered under the general order. The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions President Blake Mulala has welcomed the cabinet's approval of minimum wage and says the approval is meant for non-unionized workers.
Some Lusaka residents have received government's approval of the proposed revised minimum wage with mixed reactions. On Wednesday, government announced cabinet had approved the issuance of a statutory instrument on the review of the minimum wages and conditions of service for domestic and shop workers and employees covered under the general order. The minimum wage for domestic workers has been revised from 993 kwacha to 1,300 kwacha per month, while the minimum wage for general workers has been increased from 1,698 kwacha to 2,313 kwacha per month. Speaking in separate interviews with Camnet News, one of the concerned residents, Shadrach Kaunda, says the move is progressive and hopes it will impact positively the lives of citizens.
Pamene wanateka wasata pati wanasifakira abantu bonse bose benzi ndarama tomvera mushi kuti president wa HH pamene wafakira ko ma drivers bose benza baja magati iche mushi barani kanyumba jaba bose benza mu manyumba magati ni boy iche mushi muzi wa divindi bonse fyakara kwati monga ni bifya ko pa mwamba mingi mandi kuunga ma transport ma
Another concerned residents who opted to remain anonymous is however of the view that the minimum wage revision has been overtaken by the high cost of living as the figures were determined about a year ago.
2024. In 2024, we don't know how much price of minimum will be at that time. So, because this minimum wage which they have approved in November, they mentioned it in January 2023. So they have approved it now. So affecting it to come maybe next year. So it will be how much on that time.
In welcoming the approval of minimum wage revision, Zambia Congress of Trade Unions President Blake Mulala has called on government to put in place a compliance mechanism among employers.
We call on the Zambian workers to find the unions where they should belong in, and it will be very easier for us as Congress to get the information as to which employers are not implementing the minimum wages. Compliance to minimum wage has been a problem, and this is where we want to urge government that they must not end up at just announcing. There must be a mechanism of monitoring compliance in all our provincial centers and using the labor officers who are available to make sure that the employers are complying with the minimum wages. And by doing so, I think the workers will be able to enjoy the benefit of what the government has just announced.
With the cost of living for a family of 5, as measured by the Jesuit Center for Theological Reflection in Basic Needs and Nutrition Basket, as at October in Lusaka, stood at about 9,294 kwacha, the revised minimum wage therefore falls short, but once implemented, it is hoped to bring some change. For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
The Lusaka City Council, LCC, says it has paid off all standing salary arrears owed to its workers. LCC Public Relations Officer Nyambe Bulamba says the local authority has since taken several proactive measures to address the challenges faced in revenue collection. Mr. Bulamba says among the measures taken is the formation of strong task force teams whose aim is to sensitize all business owners regarding the importance of paying their obligations to the council. In August this year, Lusaka City Council workers staged a number of protests to demand for their 4 months' salary arrears.
Daughter who's working for Lusaka City Council because I'm not being paid.
Okay. Now the question to answer
basic necessities, we can't even meet them because we are not being paid.
These are the things that
so what's the way forward? You've told us yes.
We have successfully paid off all the salary arrears that we are owed to the employees. You may wish to know that the council employees have been owed for about 4 months salary arrears, a situation that has been so difficult for them to report for work. But despite these challenges, these are the employees who managed to make sure that they reported for work and fulfilled their obligations. So management had to put in place interventions to ensure that they meet their obligations in terms of paying these arrears. One of the interventions that was put in place was to formulate what we call task force teams that we are tasked to sensitize and educate members of the public on the importance of paying their obligations to the council. Further, we wish to commend the employees for ensuring that they always reported for week, even after difficult conditions. They managed to come and fulfill their obligations. As council, we believe in a motivated workforce, and this is why we've made sure that these arrears are paid off. You know, you can only have productivity at a place of work if the workforce is motivated. Going forward, as the council will make sure that everything is in place. We do not have any difficulties in terms of us paying off these salaries.
The Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources has assured goat farmers in the country that it will support all laws that promote the improvement and products of goats. Speaking at the Zadok Goat Farming and Breed Improvement meeting in Chongwe Thursday, committee member Andrew Tayengwa says the low production of goats in Zambia has resulted in the country missing out on opportunities that would allow it to earn enough forex, hence the need to support all mechanisms intended to improve goat production. Meanwhile, Zadok President Bafana Moyo urged government to consider removing import taxes on artificial goat inseminators as a way of encouraging the insemination initiative that improves the production of goats.
Despite the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia having offered Zambia a market to export 1 million goats per annum, Zambia has failed to utilize the market as the current goat production is low, while the majority of the current local breed cannot compete on the international market. It is for this reason that SADC goat production is introducing new goat breed on the Zambian market and encouraging artificial insemination to ensure that goat production is improved within the shortest possible time.
So let the guy be a man. This should be more pointed, and it must show that he is a man. He's a boy. He should be. Not where you find a goat that is so flat here. The other important thing that you need also to look at is the jaws.
In speaking at the SADC Goat Farming and Breed Improvement Meeting in Chongo District Thursday, SADC has appealed to the Zambian government to consider waiving import duties on artificial goat inseminators, which are currently fetching very high from outside the country.
These were equally also asking if deliberately we can start talking about having these products come into the country at a very reasonable, maybe without duty to lessen the burden of farmers failing to go this direction.
Meanwhile, nutritionist Rowena Blanco says goat farming is a very profitable business which has not been fully exploited on the Zambian market.
The success of this program is inherently tied to the support we receive from our government. We will actively engage in lobbying efforts to gain the necessary support in terms of policy subsidies and infrastructure development.
And the Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture, Lands, who were present at the meeting, have assured SADC that it will support all pieces of legislation that will support and improve goat production.
As a Committee on Agriculture, we do believe that the committee, there are certain policies that we can advocate and actually forward to the executive so that they can actually work on some of those policies. So we will take into consideration on what we've actually talked about.
Please let us work extra hard. We here in Zambia, knowledge we do have, but we are very poor in implementation. So let's work extra hard and let's go and implement everything which we learn because we have knowledge.
And Luangwa Zala Ward Councillor, identified as Grace, wants to see the artificial insemination initiative reaching a constituency as it will improve the production of goats.
The benefit of this workshop is that the farmers will definitely have the bumper harvest of goats using the artificial insemination. I feel this move is very much welcome. Let them reach to rural places like in my area, Luangwa Feira.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Sustainable Agricultural Financing Facility, aimed at supporting small and medium farmers in the public service and private sectors, has come into effect. Speaking in a parliament in a ministerial statement, Minister of Agriculture Ruben Piri said the credit facility will be issued to farmers and not supported by FISIP and other public farming programs in the form of farming inputs and where necessary costs for land preparation. Mr. Piri said farmers who have about 1 to 5 hectares of land will be eligible to benefit from farming loans ranging from 13,000 kwacha to 70,000 kwacha with a 12% interest rate to be paid after harvesting. President Hakainde Hichilema announced the introduction of the Agriculture Credit Facility to increase maize production during the opening of the third session of the 13th session of the National Assembly.
Salaried employees, including civil servants, are also eligible to apply for the loans. There will be no cash given out to beneficiaries. However, there is room to accommodate costs associated with land preparation activities. Further, it is important to note that the credit window will be administered by private sector through financial institutions. Loans shall attract a 12% interest with the repayment in cash expected after harvest, that is, at the end of the farming season. In addition, all the beneficiaries will sign produce to the Food Reserve Agency as market facilitation and also to guarantee national food security. Madam Speaker, may I also mention that the loan facility comes into effect today, Thursday, the 2nd of November, 2023, with farmer registration at the District Agriculture Coordinator's office.
Meanwhile, drama has continued in Parliament, with Patriotic Central Member of Parliament, J. Banda, having been slapped with a 14-day suspension from the House and its activities after he was named by the Speaker, Nelly Muti, for misconduct.
Let me inform you, Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda, that in accordance with the decision of this House, you have been suspended from the service of the Assembly for a period of 7 sitting days. During the period of your suspension, and in accordance with the Standing Order 2091 and 2, and also Section 28(3) of the National Assembly, Powers and Privileges Act Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia, you will not enter the principles of the Assembly. You will not participate in any business or activities of the Assembly and its committees, including those in which, if any, you participate in your capacity as an honorable member of the National Assembly, and receive the salary or allowances that you are entitled to. I now order you to leave the chamber through the main entrance. Order, order, order. In view of the continued disorderly conduct, the honorable member will be suspended for 14 sitting days, effective today.
Historian at the University of Zambia, Professor Bizek Piri, has advised government to avoid falling into a trap of failing to listen to people's concerns and become more reactive. Professor Piri says good leadership is about listening to the people rather than being reactive, saying Zambians sacrifice their time to put the current administration in charge of the national affairs.
And let me encourage you to take roller. That is the whole meal. That is the health. Because we Zambians, we think breakfast. To roller, to suma, nutrition value is far much higher than the breakfast. So, Madam, what they have breakfast? Should everybody 156 per bar? And you get more value.
This sentiment came amidst cries over the high cost of mealie meal in the country. Lusaka residents still lament over government's failure to listen to the people's cries.
Sembenzi na chifundo chaife watu ovutika sembeyitimberera kudandala kantidanda ona nilizoni akaena nisimberera watu chantikambira so ona ntiwero mani yatuli pana wanabwira mpawa wanzao wanaipeza pa 17 ona panelira pamachi ona nunga pano talema kudandala watu.
Government yawa UPND problem amene ili nayo swafuna kumvera pa ground vavichitika pa ground vafuna chabe vamene vafuna veve nevamene vachita kulira kwa abantu swakumvera no wonder ife titisha na welcome kubwera kwa ba Edgar kuti bapase ko pressure wa government akuti basebenze bamvere kulira kwa abantu so ise kulipa batende oro mwamene mulodi wamene umuchabe milisi yose batezo kula tukwacha hapo manja 5 kwacha so tiendera pati tuna tione pamene tiendera as soon as possible kama pamene tiendera ndipo tifuna kuziba so if monga as a youth whatever
Kupapa batikola babentendera.
Munga inenze kukosa maningi nze upendi die hard full time. Manje apa nambo kuona kuti vintu nivomera kuvomera ndi vintu bakanga bashimtinta batiganizireko.
A historian at the University of Zambia, Professor Bisek Piri, echoes these sentiments, however, has called on Zambians to also understand that Zambia is not the only country going through hardships.
When people are complaining, it's not that complaining about individual government officials. They're just looking at the way things are. Things have become unaffordable, and the government has to work very closely with people, understand, listen to them, and find ways of addressing those challenges, so that people can see that yes, this is a listening government. The government that promises that things will be better, but things seem to be getting out of hand. But like I've already pointed out, it's not that the officials in government are neglecting what they are supposed to do, but our environment is affected by what is happening globally.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbu says the decision taken by police officers to block members of the Patriotic Front from accessing the party's secretariat last week was meant to prevent a bloodbath between the two party factions. Addressing the media in Lusaka Thursday, Mr. Mwimbu said the government had entitled, following the return of former President Edgar Lungu into active politics, that the two PF factions would fight for occupation of the Secretariat. The minister has denied the government's involvement in the wrangles that have engulfed the former ruling party, stating that its primary interest is to protect the lives of citizens regardless of standing in society. Meanwhile, Mr. Mwimbu has also dispelled assertions that there is a shrinking democratic space in the country, stating that the opposition political parties are enjoying their rights of expression and assembly, including in front of government buildings.
Government has justified the police blockade of the Patriotic Front PF Secretariat in Lusaka on October 30th, 2023. Former President Edgar Lungu and company failed to access the Patriotic Front Secretariat on the 30th day as the area was surrounded by the police. Addressing the press, Thursday, the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security Jack Mwimbu said the move was aimed at preventing an imminent violent clash between the two PF camps.
Us as government, we are to be akimbo and let matters be sorted out by the two parties without providing security. We did provide security ourselves as government by ensuring that the PF Secretariat was protected. If we did not move in as police through my ministry, there would have been a bloodbath.
Mr. Mwimbu stressed that government has no involvement in the leadership wrangles that have locked the former ruling party.
And those who destroyed MMD have now moved to PF. They are part and parcel of the saga that is evolving in PF. It is therefore mischievous for anyone to start suggesting that we are the ones who are doing all the shenanigans in PF. You all know what is going on. The fight is between the two.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mwimbu has also accused some opposing political parties of deliberately committing crimes to create a notion that there is a shrinking democratic space in the country, on the contrary to what is obtaining.
Some of our colleagues in the opposition deliberately commit crimes, and when the law follows them, they cry foul that their political space is being narrowed by government. Why is it that only specific individuals are the only ones who are being followed by the law?
For Camnet TV News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Governance actors have expressed concern with the manner in which business is being handled in Parliament. Governance activist Brebna Changala notes with concern the inconsistencies in the Speaker of the National Assembly's ruling in the House to the extent of preventing democratically elected members of Parliament from speaking. Political analyst Alex Ngoma says the behavior of the Speaker of the National Assembly is of concern not only to opposition members of Parliament, but also to the people who elected them.
Madam Speaker, there's a way in which I would want to raise the point.
Honorable member for Kamfinsa, I have guided.
This is a democratic country, Madam Speaker. We should be allowed to speak. We should be allowed to speak. Madam Speaker, why are you preventing me from speaking? This is our country. We all belong to this country. We should be allowed to...
This is what characterized Parliament yesterday, Wednesday, November 1st.
Order, honorable member. Honorable member for Kamfinsa, out. Then you leave the house. Leave the house now. The Sergeant at Arms, can you make sure that you clear the house? Clear the house. Security, please, can you help clear the house?
Governance activist Brebna Changala says the Speaker of the National Assembly should stop handling business of the House as if she is the captain.
This is the first time in the history of that Parliament that it looked like it was a war zone. The Speaker, Nelly Muti, is behaving like she's the defender of the executive. And we people outside are watching, and we are not happy with her conduct. She has no respect for that institution. But most importantly, she has no respect for the people that we have sent there. We were very sad that they had to walk out. They should have stuck there so that she understands where the power of the people is. And I urge the members of the opposition to continue to disrupt her misconduct. She is not a monitor. She is an umpire.
Meanwhile, political analyst Alex Ngoma says the mishandling of parliamentary business is becoming of great concern to the Zambian people.
The Zambian people must begin to get extremely concerned that nearly every week people are complaining that they are not being treated properly, they are not being treated fairly, that they are being denied an opportunity to express themselves. People go to parliament to speak on behalf of the people. So if you are not given an opportunity to speak, that is very, very unfortunate.
Vincent Piri for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
Opposition Patriotic Front President Miles Sampa has challenged the validity of embattled leader of opposition in Parliament, Brian Munduwile's legal action, where he has challenged his election as party president. Mr. Sampa, through his lawyers, argues that the paragraphs in the plaintiff's statement of claim disobeys previous court orders, including an interim injunction granted by Judge Katanekwa on February 9, 2023, and a subsequent order discharging an interim injunction granted to Nakachinda on October 25, 2023. He has since maintained that there are no legal restrictions restraining him and his Secretary General Morgan Ngonga from holding their respective positions in the party. Wednesday, the Porokoso lawmaker pleaded with the court to issue a restraining order against Mr. Sampa and his associates as fear of expulsion from the party.
As courts slowly turn into battlegrounds for the opposition Patriotic Front amid its leadership dispute within the party, the second and third defendants, Mayo Sampa and Morgan Ngona, along with the Registrar of Societies, have responded to the plaintiff Brian Munduwile legal action contesting the claims made by Mr. Munduwile and challenging the validity of his case. The defendants argue that the context of several paragraphs in the plaintiff's statements of claim disobey previous court orders, including an interim injunction granted by Judge Katanekwa on February 9, 2023, and a subsequent order discharging an interim injunction granted to Mr. Raphael Nakachinda on October 25, 2023, the Mao Sampa side maintains that there are currently no legal restrictions preventing them from holding their respective position within the PF party. Mr. Sampa also indicates in his response that there is no illegality in their actions, particularly in their roles within the party, and suggests that any financial issues related to election funds should be pursued against those responsible for managing such funds rather than targeting them. He also argues that Mr. Mundubele's allegations regarding the PF presidency are misplaced, given that he willingly chose not to attend an extraordinary convention held on October 24, 2023. According to a response filed before the court by Mr. Sampa's lawyers, J&M Advocates, claims are that Mr. Mundubele's legal action is an attempt to revise issues already before the court in the Nakachinda case. The defendant contends that Mr. Mundubele's entire legal action is frivolous, vexatious, and an abuse of the court process, as it repeats allegations already under consideration by the court in another case. Mr. Sampa highlights that Mr. Mundubele and Nakachinda are part of the same political camp, making it questionable for Mr. Mundubele to sue Nakachinda while seemingly acting in Nakachinda's interest. The defendants also maintain that the restraining orders sought by Mr. Mundubele are no longer applicable, as their positions within the party have already been confirmed. As such, the PF and its affiliates are under their control. Yesterday, Wednesday, 1st November 2023, the Mporokoso lawmaker sued Mao Sampa, Morgan Ngona, and the Registrar of Societies, seeking, among other reliefs, the declaration that the first defendant, Raphael Nakachinda, is the duly appointed Secretary General of the opposition Patriotic Front, not Morgan Ngona, and that Mao Sampa was expelled and is no longer a member of the party. Mr. Mundubele also pleaded with the court to issue a restraining order against Mr. Sampa and his associates, as he fears for an expulsion from the party. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has fined and sentenced 8 suspected and ruling opposition Patriotic Front cadres for the idle and disorderly, likely to cause breach of peace, to 21 days of community service and 18 kwacha fine each. In passing judgment, Magistrate George Njovu noted that accused persons are of youthful age and still have energy to steer the country's development. Allegations are that the 8 cadres blocked the junction of Lumumba and Panganani Road on 29th October, an act likely to cause breach of peace. Magistrate Njovu has, however, warned the 8 cadres against absenteeism from the community service or risk facing a 30-day imprisonment. Nelson Zulu reports.
The 29 October 2023 confusion that characterized the opposition Patriotic Front when police officers allegedly blocked the Secretariat has landed 8 cadres to 21 days of community service and a 18 kwacha fine each. When the matter came up before Magistrate George Njovu, the 8 cadres pleaded guilty to the offense of idle and disorderly conduct contrary to the laws of Zambia. The 8 include a 19-year-old grade 9 pupil of Lusaka's Mtendere Mahatma Gandhi School who were charged with 1 count of idle and disorderly when they blocked the junction of Lumumba and Panganani Road and chanted slogans which resulted in the breach of peace. In mitigation, lawyer to the accused pleaded for lenience as the cadres are youthful and remorseful for their actions. The lawyer pleaded that as a result of their youthfulness, they have more energy to add to the country's development and are first offenders. In passing judgment, Magistrate George Njovu sentenced them to 21 days of community service at the Magistrate Court and 18 kwacha fine each, but warned the cadres to abide by the judgment. Magistrate Njovu ordered the 8 cadres not to abscond from the 21 days of community service or risk a 30-day imprisonment. Allegations are that the 8 cadres failed to heed to police directives for them to vacate the area and block the junction of Lumumba and Panganani Road on 29th October, an act likely to cause a breach of peace. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching the main news on Camnet TV. We now take our first set of commercials. Do join me with more news after the break.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flesh. Potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen, grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palabana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Lift one hand and now lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I. Yes, Mulan Twilako. Oh, Mulan Twilako. Yeah, yeah.
Introducing Darren B, a touch of class. Are you looking for the perfect place to elevate your style and glam up? Look no further. Darren B Touch of Class is your one-stop destination for hair and makeup transformation. Walk into Darren B and walk out feeling like a star. Your transformation starts here. Call us on 0772 870 588 or WhatsApp on 0972 049 213 to book your appointment today. Payments are made via mobile money or point-of-sale machine. Strictly no cash payments. We are located along Mossy Road in Ibex Hill, fourth close on the left after Kalikiliki Police Post. At Darren B, we pride ourselves on our team of dedicated and trained personnel ready to pamper both women and children. Darren B is open 7 days a week from 0720 hours to 1740 hours. From trendy hairstyles and stylish makeovers to flawless makeup, we do it all. Darren B, a touch of class.
You're watching the main news on Camnet TV with me, Sylvia Zulu. We now continue with more stories. The Citizens First Party has welcomed the appointment of Electoral Commission of Zambia Chief Electoral Officer Brown Kasaro, replacing Patrick Nshindano. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, CF spokesperson Frank Sichone says the appointment of Mr. Kasaro has been long overdue, and the party hopes that he will execute his duties diligently as he oversees elections. Mr. Sichone says that as Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Kasaro should remain unbiased, emulating his predecessors who successfully proceeded over elections.
Commission of Zambia, we actually even wrote to them that they actually appoint the CEO who is going to manage the elections in this country. We're happy to hear that the CEO has been actually appointed, and the only thing we want to say is that the CEO needs to know that this position that he's taking is a sensitive position, and he shouldn't have any affiliations with anyone, but the affiliation has to come from the people of Zambia. That institution is a very sensitive institution, and I'm sure you've seen the past CEOs have actually delivered elections in the past elections without issues and so forth. So we want him to make sure that he does his job professionally and has no affiliation with especially the government, and no one should influence his decision. It's quite a sensitive position that he's taken.
An environmentalist, Masie Mulele of Mongo District in Western Province, has called on the people in his province to desist from cutting down trees, which is contributing to climate change. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Mulele says the cutting down of trees for charcoal production is one of the leading contributors to climate change, which should be stopped. He has since urged the government and all good wishes to support initiatives that aim to provide alternatives to the use of charcoal.
According to the National Strategy to Reduce Deforestation and Forest Degradation, Zambia has an estimated deforestation rate of 250,000 to 300,000 hectares of land per year. Many people, especially in rural communities, depend on forests for their livelihoods and survival, which has contributed to deforestation, resulting in climate change. A senior citizen and environmentalist of Mongo District in Western Province has since come up with a charcoal making mechanism using waste from the leaves and fruits.
There is a high level of deforestation in our country for many uses. Some cut them for poles, for charcoal production, and etc. But as I look at the situation now, our trees have gone down, and the climate, weather and the climate is changing extremely. So it's a source of worry for everyone. I saw it imperative that we have to have alternatives. Some of the alternatives is what I'm showing you here. I pick some dirty in areas. For instance, I get the cassava chips, I get the cassava as the cassava, what we call them makapia manja in Lozi. And then I pick flowers that fall to the ground of trees. I sweep them. I also get the leaves of trees. I appeal to the president to come to our aid, to support us. Even in his individual capacity, I know he has a passion for the environment.
And one of the courtyard farmers practicing smart agriculture has also weighed in on the matter.
Life today in Zambia is very expensive, especially in the aspect of minimum, the aspect of those that have got cars are the ones that can complain about maybe fuel. Yes, we are looking at the government to feed us. Yes, government has got the responsibility to look after its people. But then the people that are being looked after should also think about what they should do to complement the same government that is doing something. If I would be assisted, definitely this I have to emphasize. If I am to be assisted with some financial resources, I can expand what I'm doing.
And another Mongo resident, Litebele Namate, has called on her fellow women and the youths to adopt smart agriculture.
Ngabupilo mulimo ulufile mazoho akwiponela apesina kamusale aluswanele kwitingeta fela kwa bana baluna kulikibona babakalu babalela musihali nibusiwo ababona selweza se nibona bakone kusikopisa bana babasizane basike bayitingeta fela kuli konje bakene ma politics batele baswanela kuba ma politics kono ne kwanu kwa lapa 50-50 elubata mulubatela kuba bayiteleza ma politics lubabalele ni mabase aluna lusike bayitingeta fela kuli bana baluna kuna bakalubonela.
Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Close to 20 families have been left homeless after their houses had their roofs blown off following a hailstorm experienced Wednesday in Village 66 and Riverside areas of Lusaka district of Eastern Province. The hailstorm has also left a trail of destruction on some public buildings at Riverside Secondary and Primary Schools and Riverside Rural Health Post. Lusaka District Commissioner Mike Tembo and Msanzala Constituency Member of Parliament Elias Daka, who visited the affected families and public institutions, confirmed the disaster, and both have expressed sadness over the incidents.
Heavy rains are already wreaking havoc across Lusaka district of Western Province as families have been left homeless while public buildings have also been destroyed in the hailstorm experienced. Msanzara Member Parliamentarist Daka has visited the scene to ascertain the damage and assured affected families of quick response from the government.
And the Vice President to see if the DMMU can come in also, so that it's not only maybe the roofs and what, but even the food stuff. I know they were damaged and they will need immediately help like on food. So
Mr. Daka also visited a 1x3 classroom block that is being constructed under CDF but collapsed due to poor workmanship.
Already done job, and this is short work, and we don't need such in Msanzara constituency. And I will make sure this contractor is not given any other contract in my constituency, because we don't want such short work. Because how can a building that is being constructed now is broken like this, is being damaged like this by simple wind? So some of these contractors, they are not serious, and I want to advise the contractors that are doing their work in Msanzara. We don't want such work. This is poor work. This is people's money. The government is giving us money to do the correct thing, but if you can allow such things.
Here Mr. Daka said there was not enough supervision from Lusaka Town Council to monitor the project.
I don't think so, because if there was supervision from the council, they were going to notice the way even the joining of the white wolves. They are not joining. They are just like they are just laid down, which is not the way construction work is supposed to be done.
And Lusaka District Commissioner Mike Tembo has threatened to terminate non-performing contractors.
See, this type of work that is going on then, we are not doing fine. How can a new building which is under construction, fall just because of the wind? It's appalling. You know, you are even being beaten by those houses have been there for over 25 years. Those ones which were left by UNHCR. The walls, it's the roofs which are leaving there, which are being blown off. The walls are still intact. But here, a building is under construction and it's falling even before it is roofed. It's a scandal. It is showing us how poor the workmanship is here.
The school infrastructure, teachers' houses, and Riverside School and Riverside Rural Health Post have also been damaged in the hailstorm.
So the issue that happened yesterday, there was a hailstorm which blew up the roof of the health facility. Almost all the rooms that we use for the activities for the clinic, everything were destroyed. Medicines were destroyed, the registers, the case records for the patients, they got destroyed. Otherwise, it's almost like paralyzing the operations at the clinic.
One of the affected families explains what transpired. The natural catastrophes are also as a result of climate change, which has disturbed the environment, leading to critical weather patterns like hailstorm. Sambo, David, Lusaka, Eastern Province.
About 300 local integrated farmers in northwestern and western provinces have this year been trained in agriculture production by the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA, through the Hope Small Founder Empowerment and Promotion Project. Speaking during a stakeholders meeting in Lumwana, District Senior Agriculture Officer Paul Mwansa said JICA, through its Hope Shed project, has trained 150 farmers from Maheba and the other 150 from Mayukwayukwa settlement schemes.
Integration of local farmer refugees into Maheba resettlement scheme is a move that has excited the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA. The program has come with a lot of activities to help improve their livelihoods. For these locally integrated farmers in Meheba, the program has delighted them.
Wafunda nikuba research wetofuna kuikwacha nowe mushiji wewakonsha kutufimina mushiji abyo bintu bikatampiwe twafunda mu program yetu ya chef amwambe na kusanta na mambo kiona jimanga kala kena yukire bunjimine kena yukire kwabanya nkunwa yami mungondo yona koncha kubyajirane kabizikena yukire kukeba market kona koncha kushidisha nkunwane.
A stakeholders meeting has been held in Numwana, and JICA has called for improved livelihoods among these farmers.
So now you are going to practice your farming based on your experience through our chef activity. Then you are going to marketing activity. So today's experience will be useful for your farming and marketing activity. So I hope you can get good result from your farming and your marketing activity. Thank you very much.
I'm just here to speak to you and to encourage you and to motivate you in the project that you are undertaking. You know, when we meet, what is shared is information. Information is very, very important. Without information, we cannot make the right decision.
Pomwansa, who is Kalumbila District Senior Agriculture Officer, highlights some of the programs that the ministry, in collaboration with JICA, has implemented so far.
Areas like Maewa, Mayukayuka refugee has a lot of stakeholders who are doing certain projects. So there is the home itself, there is UNHCR, there is Caritas, there is World Vision. So that output focuses on enhancing that information and being shared and being used by all the stakeholders. So like you have seen there, the total target is 300 farmers. So 150 in Mayukayuka, 150 from this side.
Japanese International Cooperations Agency JICA, through what they are calling the Hope Shape Project, has trained 300 farmers in Meheba and Mayukayuka resettlement schemes in household management for improved livelihoods. Betha Pata reporting in Kalumbila, Northwestern Province.
Still to come in the news, extremists kill 37 villagers in latest attack in Nigeria's northeast. Do join me with the details after the break.
And now lift the other hand, because our man of God in a surrendered position is more dangerous than an entire army. So that I can understand that when Mary is in that crowd, part of her is crying for them to choose Jesus over Barabbas. But she doesn't understand the mystery of redemption. That Jesus did not come to the world to die a normal death, because a normal death does not do anything for you and I.
Yes, Mulan Tuilako. Oh, Mulan Tuilako.
Water is life. Each drop counts, and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Introducing Darren B, a touch of class. Are you looking for the perfect place to elevate your style and glam up? Look no further. Darren B Touch of Class is your one-stop destination for hair and makeup transformation. Walk into Darren B and walk out feeling like a star. Your transformation starts here. Call us on 0772 870 588 or WhatsApp on 0972 049 213 to book your appointment today. Payments are made via mobile money or point of sale machine. Strictly no cash payments. We are located along Mossy Road in Ibex Hill, fourth close on the left after Kalikiliki Police Post. At Darren Bay, we pride ourselves on our team of dedicated and trained personnel ready to pamper both women and children. Darren Bay is open 7 days a week from 0720 hours to 1740 hours. From trendy hairstyles and stylish makeovers to flawless makeup, we do it all. Darren Bay, a touch of class.
Thank you so much for still staying with us. And now for the rest of the news. In international news, extremists in northeastern Nigeria killed at least 37 villagers in 2 different attacks, residents said Wednesday, highlighting once again how deadly Islamic extremist rebels have remained in their 14-year insurgency in the hard-hit region. The extremists targeted villages in Yobe State's Gaidam district on Monday and Tuesday in the first attack in the state in more than a year, shooting dead 17 people at first while using a landmine to kill 20 others who had gone to attend their burial, witnesses said. Here's a roundup of international news.
Extremists in northeastern Nigeria killed at least 37 villagers in 2 different attacks, residents said Wednesday, highlighting once again how deadly Islamist rebels have remained in their 14-year insurgency in the hard-hit region. The extremists targeted villages in Yobe State's Gaidam district on Monday and Tuesday in the first attack in the state in more than a year, shooting dead 17 people. In the second attack, they used a landmine to kill 20 others who had gone to attend the burial of the 17 victims. The Yobe state government on Wednesday summoned an emergency security meeting over the attacks, which it blamed on extremists that entered the state from the neighboring Borno state. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu, who took office in May, has not succeeded in ending the nation's security crisis, both in the northeast and in northwest and central regions, where dozens of armed groups have been killing villagers and kidnapping travelers for ransom. Islamist violence has killed at least 40,000 people in Nigeria's northeast since 2009.
Foreigners and dual nationals have arrived in Egypt after authorities allowed wounded Palestinians and some others to cross from the war-torn Gaza Strip. 76 wounded Palestinians and 335 foreigners or dual nationals made it to the Egyptian territory Wednesday. The first crossing of civilians allowed into Egypt from Gaza since Israel placed a total siege on the Palestinian territory after Hamas's deadly attack on October 7. Egypt's control of the Rafah crossing has given it prominent status as one of Gaza's main benefactors and an important player in the conflict, a position that analysts say could help it unlock more international financial support amid a crushing economic crisis in the North African country. Though the Egyptian government and Hamas have an uneasy relationship, on October 15, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi declared that Israel's defense forces operations had exceeded any proportionate response to the October 7 attacks and become a form of collective punishment. Recently, Egypt have had to manage the influx of people fleeing Sudan's civil war. A sharp increase in passenger fares on the Chinese-built standard gauge railway in Kenya. The increase comes as the East African giant struggles with repaying loans owed to Beijing and others, along with higher fuel prices. On Wednesday, the state-owned Kenya Railways said in a statement that the 470 kilometers journey between the port city of Mombasa and the capital, Nairobi, will cost around $30 in first class, up from $19, and $10 in economy, up from $6. The announcement came days after Kenya's central bank governor, Kamau Tuge, said the Kenyan shilling had for years been overvalued by 25%, which led the country to maintain an artificially strong exchange rate. The new train fares come into effect on January 1, 2024. Kenya has been struggling with growing public debt, which has led President William Ruto to announce tough austerity measures, including restrictions on foreign trips and cutting all government ministry budgets by more than 10%.
And now in sports news, CAF has revealed the list of nominees for the men's categories for the CAF Awards 2023 as preparations for the awards gala scheduled for 11th December 2023 in Marrakech, Morocco, gather momentum. No Zambian player has made the list of nominees. A panel of CAF technical experts, African football legends and selected media representatives from a number of countries put together the preliminary list for the various categories with the performance of the nominees between November 2022 and September 2023, serving as the period under consideration. 30 players made the cut for the top prize, CAF African Player of the Year, whilst 20 players have been nominated for the CAF Interclub Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, CAF National Team of the Year, and Club of the Year have turned nominees, each just as CAF Young Player of the Year for players under the age of 21. For the first time, CAF has introduced the CAF African Goalkeeper of the Year category in the prestigious event that seeks to reward and celebrate exceptional players, officials and administrators during the period under review. That item brings us to the end of the news, but before I go, let's take a look at the stories making headlines. Government denies fueling confusion in the opposition Patriotic Front. Governance actors raise concern in the handling of parliamentary affairs. Some Lusaka residents call for adherence to the minimum wage. In international news, extremists killed 37 villagers in latest attack in Nigeria's northeast. And in sports news, CAF announces CAF 2023 awards nominees. We now look at our Camnet verse of the day coming from the book of Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Good night.